Hello my scrappy friends and a big welcome to my YouTube channel today. It's Melinda Sweetman here with you and thank you so much for joining me. Today's first share is for Cut to You and I'm using the March Cut of the Month cut file, which is this adorable birdhouse. It is absolutely beautiful. I love it so much. It's a floral birdhouse. When I did cut it, I flipped it in Silhouette Studio. Now, I did struggle with the idea of putting this onto a scrapbook page, so I decided to make a card instead. And I came up with this fun idea that I've got here. You can see I have cut the cut file on craft cardstock. Then I have also cut just the outline with some white cardstock. I have meticulously and very carefully pulled out all of the craft coloured little bits and pieces, and you can see I'm laying them all out here in my Misty on my waffle flower grip mat, and I'm just going to add a little bit of colour. I did show you before that I had a Copic marker in my hand. I think it was the E55. I wanted to add some darker colour to some of the pieces that I knew would be more in shadow, so you can see those down on the bottom right hand corner there. I am using Stampin' Up! Inks here, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the lighter coloured one, or the darker colour one for that matter. Actually, the darker colour one is Soft Suede, so I'm going to pull that one in just a second. And you can see I'm just lightly and a bit carelessly, I wasn't really particular with how I did this, I just kind of added colour to help that embossing pop out, and I'm going to do the exact same thing onto the outline of the cut file. And I have gone ahead and done that and backed that off screen. I used some papers from, it's a 6x6 paper pad that I got from the Reject Shop here in Australia actually, and I just backed that using some pattern papers from that, and I am ready to do my paper piecing here. So this is not something that I've done a lot of, it's something that I've tried in the past and failed at, but I thought that this was a perfect opportunity to give it another go, and I'm so glad I did. I really love the way this turned out. When I stuck my birdhouse to this white cardstock, I actually only really put glue behind the florals because I figured that way it gave me a bit of room for movement to line all the edges and everything up properly. I knew I was going to be coming back in and adding glue so I could add in all of these pieces that I had embossed. I'm just using my little Pink Fresh Studio pickup tool and adding those bits and pieces back in. A couple of them took me a minute or two to get into the right place, but I got there in the end, and you can see I'm just finishing it up here. And I love the way this came together. It almost looks like it is actually made of wood. I only lost one tiny little piece. You can see it down there on the left hand side in the florals. I'm going to cover that up and no one will ever know. This was my original idea for my card. I've got a, I think it's about 5¼ inch card, I'm not sure. Gold, matte gold, and then the pattern paper with the leaves on it, and this sentiment. So I do speed through this because it turns out that this card is not the right card size. It doesn't work for what I want. So I'm going to cut my gold cardstock and then trim down my pattern paper. Realise that I don't like the way that it's sitting because my birdhouse goes over both edges of the pattern paper, which is not what I wanted. So then I went ahead and cut this one a bit smaller, I think. I can't remember. No, I went to cut another piece and realised that that wasn't going to work. So then I scratched the whole lot. So here I am, I'm picking out another pattern here. Did narrow it down to a couple. So I'll show you my process here. So there's that one and that one. I preferred the white with the blue florals, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to mark out where I want to cut it. And I realised very quickly that if I cut it there, I'm going to be left in exactly the same spot I was in before. I'm using the bottom line of that birdhouse as my straight edge. And here I go, I'm just going to trim this down. I just marked my paper trimmer so that I could get a square. So here I go and put this onto my gold, and I'm like, oh, it's exactly the same size as that. That's not going to work. So I pulled out the other half of the craft cardstock that I cut my cut file from. I actually cut a 6x6 square to put onto my cameo mat to cut the birdhouse. So I'm going to use a 6x12 piece of craft cardstock for my base here, which I folded in half. I'm going to cut another piece of gold cardstock. And this is all going to work much better for me. The sizing's works much better, and I'm much happier with it. Felt like that was too much of a gold border, so I'm going to change it up in a sec. Here I am playing with my sentiment as well, working out exactly where that's going to go, how I'm going to make it work. I was like, no, too much gold. Move that up. I'm like, yes, prefer that. So I'm just going to trim. I'll stick this down and then trim down the gold. I forgot I stuck it down because I do pull it up again. I do add dimension to that white pattern paper, and I just use scraps of, for this particular card I used scraps of just normal printer paper. I think there's 4 of them that I laid behind the pattern here. cut a little bit smaller, laid the stuck them together. You can see that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to trim them down. I printed on normal print paper some Tracy Reed collections, which just doesn't work. Well, it does work, but the colours are not true or anything like that. And then I'm going to stick those to the back. Then I'm going to run it through my sewing machine. So I've got a little bit of dimension there. And then I'm going to stick it back to the gold. Happy with that. So this is my card base all assembled. Once I stick this on, I'm really happy with how that looks. And then onto the embellishing. This card did take a while. I did have a few hiccups along the way. You just saw one of them with the card base. But like I said, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Right at the end, I don't record it, but I do add in another 6x6 square of the craft coloured cardstock to the back, just to add a bit more weight to the back so that it's better balanced when it's standing up. Here is my sentiment. I can't remember exactly what that says either. Something about you are something. Oh, hopeless. I'm going to use Versamark. I did use my my powder tool, my anti-static powder tool, just to make sure that I didn't get gold embossing powder stuck where I didn't want it. The gold works in beautifully with the gold on the card already. You are special in every way. That's what it says. So I'm just going to heat set this, and I do apply my heat tool to the back and the front. It does help with some of the warping. And there it is. I'm going to cut some extra layers. Now I learnt this trick from watching Jennifer Maguire. Add glue to all of my pieces, stack them all up, and then line them up. It is much quicker than trying to do one at a time, I've discovered. So thank you, Jennifer Maguire. Not that you'll ever watch my videos, but that's okay. Yes, handy little trick. Alright, so I'm really happy with how that's all looking. You can see where I've got those darker pieces. They don't look quite as dark as they did on when they were in my Misty, because it does look like the shadow layers. I decided I wanted to add a bit of shadow to my background paper here. I know I'm going to get a natural shadow from sticking this on with some dimension, but I wanted to just emphasize that a little bit, so I've just gone in with I think it's a warm Copic W0, and then this is W1, just to add a bit of depth. I figured I could always blend out, if I started with the lighter colour, I could add darker colour, but if I go the other way, I'm kind of stuck with the darker colour. It is really subtle, but I really like the extra dimension that it adds without actually adding extra dimension, which is cool. Going to add some foam tape to the back of this. and pop that up. I'm going to add some of my liquid adhesive to that. Gives me a little bit of time to wiggle it when I stick it down. Oh, first I'm going to add some gold splatters. Heidi Swap Gold Colour Shine. Haven't used this one for a while. Grab my paintbrush, add some splatters. I feel like they're a bit too much if I was just going to leave this dry. So I do pop it out of the box and soak it up with some paper towel. I feel like that just kind of mutes it enough to go with the matte gold. I've got that matte that I've got there. So cut of the month cut files. I know I've talked about them the last couple of months, but it is exclusive designs designed by Gwen for cut to you. I think the price point is $2 Australian a month. You get an exclusive cut file every month, and the whole team shares inspiration for you all month long. You can't really go wrong, I don't think. I love these cut files. And as you can see, I think they're pretty versatile. Cards, Scrabble pages, Traveller's Notebook pages, however you want to use them. Home decor, I know Sarah has used hers for home decor for this month. Yeah, so I've stuck my birdhouse to my card front, and I worked out where I'm going to put my sentiment, but it needed a little bit of something. I went through my stash of stickers and I found this sheet of puffy stickers from Paige Evans. It's from the Whimsical collection, and it had this little bird which I thought was adorable, but the colours are a bit more vibrant than what I wanted for this. So I've just grabbed some white gesso. I started by using my finger to dab that on, and then I watered it down a bit and added it with a paintbrush, and I feel like this little bird is the perfect colours now. Now I've just got to play with the placement. I'm not normally one to stress too much about getting ink and stuff on my hands, but I didn't want to get transfer of that wet gesso onto my fingers and then onto the card all over the place. So that's why I'm being careful and using my tweezers. Stuck my sentiment down. I just added a couple of dimensional foam pieces underneath where the bird isn't. Trying to use some of these stickers, and I do get another 3 on, I think. So I add this little banner here, which I think is so cute. The colours work perfectly, and then I add in, actually I get 5 on. I add in these 2 little leaf sprigs just there, and I bring in 2 little puffy butterflies, which I think are really, really cute. Alright, so I'm just going to muck around with placement of those, get them in just the right place as we do. And then the very last thing I'm going to do is add some matte gold pearls from Pink Fresh Studio. I'm going to add 5 of them, and one of them is going to go right over that hole down the bottom where I lost my little piece of brown cardstock. No one will ever know. I'm just adding a little bit of wet glue just to make sure these things don't move. And so I've got 4, and I need a 5th one, just a little tiny one, and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to stick them all down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect little finishing touch. I haven't decided if I'm going to give this card to my mum or maybe to my bestie, but I had so much fun making it. It is special because it did take me so long. I'm really happy with how it turned out. If you have any questions, please make sure you drop them below. And as always, thank you so much for choosing to spend your scrappy time with me. I truly do appreciate it. And I hope you have a fantastic scrappy day, my friends. I will see you very soon.